Blessed be my witches, my spiritualists, and welcome to another episode of Witch Please. It is I, Odin The Seer, coming to you on one of the holiest of days, Saint Brigid's Day. Yes, my witches, Saint Brigid, my patron goddess. I love Saint Brigid. I cannot begin to tell you. This deity is in 3 different religions. She's kept her place of origin, she's kept her color, she has kept everything about herself. Now that is a fierce goddess, darling. So she is Saint Brigid, the goddess Brigid or Breed, and she is also Grand Brigid or Maman Brigid. This deity is in some African cultures, Catholicism, and paganism, and she's kept her origin. She has kept her unique savoir-faire, and she is absolutely amazing. So what we're going to be doing today is we are going to be making Brigid's crosses. It is very important and such a powerful tool for you to have around your home for protective and spiritually uplifting forces within your space. So this is what a Saint Brigid's cross looks like for those of you who has ever seen them or haven't seen them. They are quite easy to make, and what you're going to need for this is you are going to need these reeds. If you live in the country, they're those long pieces of grass that you find. You can find them throughout the world, I believe. A little harder to find in North America and whatnot. In Europe, they grow everywhere. So you want to grab some of these. And you want to basically do this before they get dry. I find that when they get dry, what ends up happening is that they are harder to work with and they'll crack a lot easier. But when you do them and they're wet, you will have to go in over and over again and make sure that you push it together and tighten it up again, because as they start to dry out, they do have a tendency to loosen up a bit, but you can always just kind of maneuver it a little bit and make it tight again. So that's what we're going to be doing. Now, you have your standard Brigid's crosses and you have your triple goddess Brigid crosses, and they are both absolutely amazing. We're going to be working on these ones right now, but if anybody from the Witch Please or the Patreon Witch Please family members want to see this one being made, let me know and we will do that as well. You're also going to need some rope. Now I have rope in 4 different colors here to represent each one of the elements. And what I have done with these ropes are I have braided them with an incantation that I use, and I've also empowered them with an incantation and called in the elements as well for these. Now, for those of you who would like to see the ritualized aspect of this and see me do this, you can always join our Patreon's account and support us in being able to create more content for less than it would cost for a cup of coffee at Starbucks. And it really will allow for me to be able to get some more content out here on both of the channels. So we've talked a little bit about Saint Brigid. Saint Brigid, if you take a look at her in her saintly form, she is a beautiful goddess. There are still, I believe, 19 nuns in Kildare, Ireland that keep her sacred fires burning. Saint Brigid is one of the most beautiful and powerful saints that I think that I've ever connected with in Catholicism. And that says a lot, because I do have quite a passion for the church. Well, I have a passion for all forms of belief. And Saint Brigid is always called to me the most. I love the fact that she was one of power, one of strength, one of female energy. She stood in her own power. She represented an aspect of the divine that was fearless, that did not suffer fools gladly. She knew what she did, she knew who she was, and anybody, and I believe she was also a metal worker, if I'm not mistaken. In some belief structures, she was actually a metal worker. So this is exactly how strong this deity is. Now, in her form of Maman Brigid or Grand Brigid, she is a powerful deity of females and cemeteries. This woman handles just the same thing as Saint Brigid would do, midwives and pregnancy and birth, but she's also a foul-mouthed deity who says exactly what she thinks, exactly what she feels. She does not allow for anything or anyone to hold her down. She is married to Baron Samedi, right, who was another very, very powerful deity. So for us to celebrate this sacred day, we need to understand that we're celebrating a lot of different traditions. We are bringing in so many traditions into one place. And this is the reason why I've always had such a strong affinity with Mama Brigid, with Saint Brigid, or the goddess Brigid. She is a powerful being, so powerful to keep her place in many different religions and still be able to be as beautiful, as feminine, as strong, and self-sufficient in all three, but in very, very different ways. All right, so let's get going on making these bridges crosses. Now, what we're going to do, or how I start off this, is I take my first reed and my second reed, and I cross them. Okay? Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to fold this over. Okay? And you're left with this. So this now is like a pin, and it is holding this one in place. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to take our third reed, okay? And we are going to bend it. And we're going to place this over this one, like this. Now this is a little confusing at first, my witches, but you'll see at the end. So now you have these two going like this, and this one going up like that. Okay? We're going to turn it like this, and I like to work in a clockwise motion because not only do I want to protect my home, but I also want to bring in abundance. Okay? I want to bring in a lot of things. Some people will do it in a counterclockwise way if they're using it for just the protective aspects of it, but I like to bring in the magic and powerful aspects of it as well. So now we have it looking like this. You put this one here, and you do the same thing. Now the first couple of them are the hardest to get working, okay? But once you get a little further into this, it will become easier. So now, I have the cross going. I'm going to turn it again and do the same thing over again. Now, okay, so now we've bent it and we placed it and we have the whole system starting here. Now again, y'all, remember this at the first beginning part of it, this is the hardest part, okay? Once you get past this and you're into a section of actual movement and you got a rhythm going on, it will become easier and easier. But as long as you start this, and it's gonna look a little funky at first, you're gonna be like, that don't look like nothing. I don't think I like this. Stick with it, my witches. It will be fabulous. All right, so we grab it again and I bend first. Okay, and then I place. And there we go. Okay, then I turn. I grab another one and I bend. Place it. You want them to go over and overlap and overlap and overlap, okay? Grab another one and you bend it, and you place it. And hold it in place. And now that we're going a little further into it, we can start maneuvering them and setting it up the way that we want. The middle is always going to look a little different because there's not a lot to work with, but as it grows and as you start to build on top of it, you will see that they actually start to come together quite well. So now I'm placing it down like this because what you're going to do is, if you see here, you want to now really start to shape it in the way that you like. So I'll be doing this more in a downward motion now. So as you can see, I am organizing it and pushing it now so that it looks square. And you also want it to be kind of tight tight. And once you've learned how to do it, it becomes much easier. But stick with it and just work with it. Feel it. Now, some people like to cut off the excess ends while they're working with it. I, on the other hand, like to keep my ends really, I'm ostentatious, my witches. I like to make it big and bold, right? Especially for the ones that are in my house. If I'm doing it for other people or whatnot, I will do them in the standard Brigid's crosses. But for the ones that I do for myself, I like to make them really ornate and very big. And as you can see, it's starting to look quite lovely. So we're going to continue on and keep adding to our Saint Brigid's cross. So we have a beautiful Saint Brigid's cross, and it's just gorgeous. We're going to be cutting off some of the other little straggly pieces to make it look pretty, right? But I do like that kind of whimsical, out there, you know, homemade, please. So what we're going to do now is we are going to seal off each one of these, okay? So we're going to start off with the north, and we are going to say the blessed. Now, always remember, the one that you have in your hand, because the last read you did, that is the north. Some people like to tie off all the way down here. I like to tie off right at the, ooh, look at that, my witches. I like to tie off right where I had finished. I store this power in here to protect, to be able to bring in, to call in, to banish, to keep away. All the things that are not in the reality that I want, I can remove them, keep them away. All the things I want to call in, I can call them in and store them into this. So it is now a talisman and a beacon for the magic that has been worked today. So what I like to do at this point in time is I like to cut off any little pieces that are bent, or if there is some dry pieces that don't really look that nice. If there's roots still in it, I will cut this off. Just an attempt to make it look beautiful. Now, I'm not going to take off everything. Again, just the parts that don't give it the flow that I am looking for. You see, I took off a lot of the other parts that were just hanging kind of grossly and they weren't. I took off those. Another thing you can do, anybody who wants to do this, straw is really good for this too. So even dry straw is really good. If you can get long pieces of straw from the local farmer, you're good to go, my witches. You can do it this way. I like to do it this way. I don't know why, I just love the way it looks. I'll put something right in the middle there. And I will use this on my door. I will use this when you first come through my house, the first door that's there. Wonderful for protection. All right, Witch Please family members, that is our episode for today. If you have not pressed subscribe, you know you need to press subscribe. Join the Witch Please family and do not miss out on a thing. You can follow us on Twitter, Tumblr, Instagram, as well as Facebook. You can always send me a personal email at witchpleaseofficial, or you can sign up for our courses, witches, because we still have a couple of spaces left for our psychic development course. I said it before, my witches, my spiritualists, and I will say it again. It is a pleasure to have you in my world. It is an honor to have you in my magic. And you are always in my heart. Have a wonderful Saint Brigid's Day, and I will see you again. Love you, boo-boos. Bye-bye.